Hey everyone, how you going? I've got the camera this way this time and we had some sun coming in, but I think it's going. So how you going? I wanted to just jump in here and have a little chat about something I was just reading, and I was prompted to do this story to share, do this video to share my story, a couple little bits about why it's different, because I want to share that it's completely different. My Kundalini awakening, my spiritual awakening, how it happened, separately, compared to a lot of narratives out there. Because I think a lot of people think that it's not real for them if it's not how they hear in society, how it is for everyone else, or they start to think, oh, is that real then? Or did I really have that happen? Or did I really have a Kundalini awakening? Or whatever it is, you know. So, or am I really connected to this person? Whatever it is. So I just wanted to share that, because I was reading something and this person said something in it and I'm like, oh yeah, that was similar to me. And sometimes, you know, the narratives are so different out there. I find with my journey, like it's like 95% of people are talking about it this way, and I'm like, yeah, that didn't actually happen for me like that. And I might be the rare 5% that it happens in a different way. So I want to share because I want people to stop comparing themselves or their path or their cycle, whatever's happening, to others and narratives out there, because it's not always the same. So what I wanted to share is that I actually had awakened onto my spiritual path and started activating, like my third eye activated, and I started, you know, readings and stuff like that before my Kundalini awakening. And I mean, I was pretty much, I've been pretty activated my whole life, to be honest. And as I discuss in my book, I've never ever left my spiritual path or self, or always felt that I don't know where to look in these things. I've got it sideways so you can capture some sun. So I'm sorry if I'm not actually directly looking at you. So I started to go on my journey a bit, or should I say go back to going on my journey a bit, by things like I built a house and I was really into feng shui and energy and the energy flow. And that's where I started learning all about energy and how it happened. And so I started there, and then from there I progressed. And then it was a few years later, it was just like I could feel my higher self, and you know, my soul was just like pushing me to hurry up and awaken onto this path. And you know, so it really got to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore, and it was like my soul completely took over and I had no choice. And so I started going to psychic development class and learning a lot about spirituality, the cosmos, angels, archangels, ascended masters. We used to do readings. We used to do a ton of stuff, you know, you name it. And I remember when I first started, I'm like, oh my God, I can't do any of this. And it was like my soul saying, yes, you can, you know all this. Like, but your human Kellie is saying, no, I can't. Everyone else can do that, or I'm not psychic or whatever, but your soul is trying to awaken you to say, yes, it's there. So it all happened really fast for me, because from that first class I went to, it just went like bang, 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 and my third eye opened and everything open, and I was starting to do readings, and they were right. And you know, and our human ego is still telling us, oh no, we can't do this. And so we're still seeking that validation externally, right? And then as we get that confirmation, we move through things and we realize that, oh yeah, okay, I am really getting this. Like, this is really working. I'm doing this. I'm really tapped in and I'm getting the right information and da-da-da. And I was very, very lucky and blessed that my spiritual teacher was really connected to the pure divine higher source. Like, we didn't work in the astrals and stuff like that much. And like, so, you know, so anyway, so I learned from the start, the real deal, so to speak. And then I tapped into a lot of wisdom and so forth. But it wasn't till about 8 or 9 months after that I actually had my Kundalini spiritual explosion. in me, and I call it that because I'm going to share it in a minute, and this is exactly what it was. So what happened is I was, and at the time that I'd started, I already knew my divine masculine was in my life already, like years before. So there's so many labels out there for it, but people might say twin flame, twin soul, soul flame. I call it my one soul divine connection, spiritual connection here, doing this path with me, you know, in this lifetime. And so anyway, we already knew each other and were together and but it was about 8 or 9 months later, and we were standing one night, we were standing together and we were hugging, and in that instant I just felt this, and it was really like an explosion. It was just like this, you know, this explosion inside of me, you know, and I didn't even know to call it a Kundalini explosion or anything. I'm not one for labels, guys. My whole spiritual path, I've never really got into labels. I go with what I feel, and then I might find down the track, I'll read something, I'll go, oh, that's what that's called, you know, but my soul has never guided me to get caught up in the narrative out there of labels. I do use it in terms of videos and other things often because I wanted people to try and understand. It's important, I guess, to understand what type of connection we're talking about, or what, you know, when we talk about karmics and soulmates, or just any type of spiritual words. But I really don't get caught up in all of the eloquent, you know, sexy spiritual words or whatever you want to say. But yeah, so what happened is I had this explosion sort of happened, and I didn't say anything to him at the time. I don't know if he felt it. I don't know if he had an activation or if he felt my activation, but it went like, you know, and it was a reflex that I pulled back. I went to pull back, and he had a reflex to just pull me closer. So, and it's really interesting, right? Because it's like the energy of, you know, you get scared and you, because I didn't know what was happening, and you go to run or you go to pull back. And, but he, like I said, I don't know if he felt it, but he pulled me closer. And it was, I didn't know what it was. And later on, I learned, obviously, what it was to be called Kundalini, you know, awakening and activation. I was very closed off in a lot of areas. My heart was really closed off. I had a lot of walls up. I had a lot of unworthiness. I had a lot of insecurities. I was very independent, but because of that, I had a lot of, I was in my masculine energy a lot, and I had a lot of walls up around me with a lot of things. So that could have been why it just took longer for me. And this is what I want to share with you guys, because I mean, I'd say 98% of the clients I've worked with over the years, the females, have all been in their masculine energy, like default to it. So there's obviously other women out there that could be having the same experience. And the thing is, we listen to this narrative of like, oh, you have this first, and then you awake, and then your pineal gland opens, and then da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's not always like that, you know, and it's never always like what we hear out there. So that's number one. Please don't just be listening to everyone else and thinking, well, did that really happen to me? Because that's not how I read about it, or that's not how this person says it happens, or that's not how the, you know, 50 or 100 people I'm listening to on Instagram are talking about it, or whatever you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's different. I just wanted to share that it happens differently. Like from then, obviously, when I had that activation, it then catapulted me faster. But prior to that, I was going pretty fast anyway. Like I had, you know, I was learning this month, and then that month, and and you know, it was like, whether it was sort of like learning about light workers and angelics, as I said, and ascended masters and star seeds, and you know, planetary alignments and all sorts of stuff, you know. And then it was Reiki. I never got into Reiki. Everyone was into Reiki back then, you know, and I never ever felt guided to, I don't know, I never felt guided to actually learn Reiki, because have my own way of healing. I'm an original diamond angelic, my divine masculine and I. So soon as it was kind of just like, soon as I tapped into that wisdom, a lot of things went boom, 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 boom. So my healing abilities, my shamanic abilities, everything like that just tapped in and I was online with all of that. So I never felt the need to do a lot of like textbook stuff where you go and do a course in this or you go and learn about that. I think it's just different for everybody. Like I know people out there that have been shamans for many, many years, decades, or, you know, they say to people, oh, you know, you can't just expect to do shamanic work, pardon me. And that could be true too, but for me, it just wasn't true. It just, you know, I couldn't explain why I just knew all the information, but I just did. And I might just need to plug my thing in. Sorry about that, guys. I wasn't prepared. But again, don't listen to, if you are doing some type of, it was 11:11 on the timestamp there, but if this is really important, if you're doing something that you know comes easy for you and you're tapped in, but you didn't, you know, study it or whatever under an expert in that field or whatever, but you just know that it's right because your soul's telling you, go with that, because you can't listen to everybody else. Okay, you've got to go. It turned out, oh gosh, it was years after that, I went to my first shaman for a healing, because I was never guided to go, you know, and I heard about this incredible shaman, and so I'm like, actually, I feel guided to go to him, and I went to him, and I had an amazing session and healing with him. But it also could have meant I was meant to go because Spirit was sending me so that, again, I could validate, because I wasn't stepping fully into my gifts. And I kind of went into the session as a client, and I came out and he was really honoring me. And I'm like, what's going on here? And he saw in my session that I had actually been a teacher of his thousands of years ago. I had come back. I had many past lifetimes where I was a medicine woman and, you know, shaman, whatever you want to, whatever label, again, here we go. But he's like, oh my God, you know, he had been working as a shaman since he was 8 years old, you know, and he said, I cannot believe that, you know, you were my teacher. So that to me just showed me and validated that what I already knew about my healing abilities, without needing to work under anybody or learn in another way, I already just brought all that wisdom in and didn't know where it came from or whatever, but you just got to trust your soul, you know. And then, as I said, later on, when he told me that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's why I never felt the need to have to learn under anyone else or whatever. And that might not be your situation, but it's just an example to show you that when your soul is guiding you in a way, go with that. Don't think, oh yeah, but no, I've got to do it the way society tells you to, or a bunch of spiritual people are telling me to because they did it that way. And that's not always the case. So, you know, another experience was my divine masculine and I, we had a time where it really broke my heart, actually. We were partying, and it was me that actually had suggested that we part because of, I won't get into the situation, but as we were saying goodbye, we were hugging each other, and I felt this complete disconnection from our chakras. So in case you're not aware, when you share a connection with someone like this, you both are connected to each other's chakras. So I felt him disconnect, and he may not have consciously done it, but from a soul level, he's done it, and he's disconnected from my chakras. And it was so obvious. It was just like something going like from here down, like boom, 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 boom. And just like one after another, instantly, just within seconds, total disconnection. So in the physical body, we were still hugging, but energetically, I could feel this to the degree it was that strong that, again, I pulled back. And I'm like, oh my God, what's that? I didn't say anything to him, but I felt like, I didn't know at the time what it was, but I felt like it was something he was doing. It wasn't anything I was doing. And at the time, I had a coach, and they were in connection. They were in a union as a connected couple as well. And he said to me, he told me what it was. He said, that's him. He pulled back and disconnected energetically all of his chakras from yours. And that's why in the physical, I felt it. It was just like boom, 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 boom. So it was a horrible feeling. It's probably one of the most awful feelings I've ever felt in my life, because when you think about it energetically, you can understand why it would feel that way. But these are things that are not talked about out there much, because there's so many other things talked about, these connections that are not true, so, years and years ago, you could look up, twin flame or whatever, and it was the original versions. It's like you could tick every box, and then it was just got so indoctrinated over the years with people that weren't in a connection but were writing about it that way and whatnot, and it just so I'm not big on the label, but real connection is absolutely extraordinary and fascinating, and not to mention all the other incredible elements to it, and the love and the depth of love and the divinity, the godly feeling of it. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. When I say God, I'm not a religious person. I never usually use the word God, because in the context of how society have turned it, but creator source, that higher energy, that unconditional divine love, and the way, those elements, the way you feel all those things, it's extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary. Nothing like anything else. Well, there isn't anything else, because they are you, you are them, you are connected energetically, you share a consciousness, so you've got to be careful of your thoughts and everything, fears, doubts, insecurities, everything, and that's why it's mirrored. So true, real connections are absolutely unique and extraordinary. They really are. So, but I wanted to share those things because I did not, as I said, everyone says, oh, you awaken first with the Kundalini awakening, and then look, everything opens up. And so it's different for everybody. I mean, there's probably heaps of other personal experiences of my story that I can tell you again like that you go, oh my God, okay, yeah. And that's why I don't get too into it's got to be this way or it's got to be that way. It's different for everybody, and I can't stress that enough. And I think that the reason I keep going over that and saying that is because I know everybody says, yeah, we know that. People might be listening to this now going, yeah, I know that. Everybody says that. Yeah, we know that. But what happens is, I think it's only a very rare few that embody that. It's a very rare few that actually say, yeah, like they know it. But then when they're faced with something in front of them, they get doubt, because they go, oh God, it's happened for, if you're standing there and there's 50 people in front of you telling you this is the way it has to be because we all felt the same, are you still going to trust yourself? Are you still going to go, well, I'm glad it felt like that for 50 of you, and that could be how that went, but my experience is different. And that's with everything in life. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You must know that your soul is different. Your soul is going to have a different experience things in a different way, feel things in a different way. Just it's the same as this connection. You could have one of these connections, but when you meet your connection and what you feel could differ a little bit from from what others feel, you know. For years, I didn't know how to explain things, you know, because again, I didn't want to label things. But until I heard from Spirit one day, and it was actually really interesting. I was working on my book, and Louise Hay, I'm not sure if you know who Louise Hay is, but she's crossed over to the other side now. She's a beautiful spiritual teacher, but I actually wasn't connected to Louise Earthside. I never read her books. I never followed her. I just knew of her. And but anyway, she came through to me and we were chatting, and she actually, is it going to stop? Oh no. And she actually said to me about my connection. She said, we had an instant heart merger when we met. And I'm like, oh, okay, I never thought of it like that, but yeah, that makes sense. That I can get that, I can feel that now, but I wouldn't have really known to call it that myself, you know. And we're talking about things, so everybody has a different thing. And she said to me, not everybody in these connections have an instant heart merger. Not everybody have an instant activation the same way. They could be different. So yeah, so I won't get into any more of that in this video, but that's because we're all different souls. We're all, you know, different levels of souls in terms of no hierarchy, but just coming back to do this and where we fit in from source, you know, as souls. And yeah, I won't go into it anymore like that. But anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And hope you get something from that. And just remember, your story is, or your soul journey is unique to you. So don't go listening to anybody else. You know inside. I mean, I listened to too many people over the years about other things, you know, that I shouldn't have listened to about. You have to trust what you're feeling. And it's really funny how we can do things in our life that totally we let soul take over and we trust, but there's other things that our ego takes over. Why is that? You know, if you already know that you're trusting soul in some areas, trust your soul in all areas. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so it's these energies at the moment and what we're going through with releasing stuff, it's very potent. And I just saw 2222 on the timestamp. It's very potent to exactly what I'm just discussing, of people realizing exactly what I spoke about, that uniqueness, shedding all the other karmic stuff, shedding the crap with, you know, that's held you back and blocked you from limiting beliefs and everything, and also having people in your life that, and you may need to remove yourself at that time. I know myself, when I was going through all of that, I kind of removed myself from friends because they didn't understand, and it was too hard to express, like they just didn't get it. Do you know what I mean? So I needed that. It's hard to explain. You might feel it's for another video. It's going too long. It's another video. I try to keep them short, but yeah, anyway, all right guys, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Sending you lots of love, and with these energies, please let go. Please let go of control and just really listen to your soul. Yeah, so if you like this, share it. If you think it can help somebody, put a comment underneath. If you feel like, you know, putting a comment underneath, that'd be lovely. I'd love to read it. Take care. Talk to you soon. All right. Peace out. Bye.